You know, there's an ancient wisdom that speaks directly to a very modern problem. It's about a path that was once offered to a warrior who was completely paralyzed by fear. And that same path, well, it remains open to us today, right now, in our own moments of doubt and anxiety. So today, let's explore that perspective together.
Let's just start with a simple question. What if that thing that holds you back the most, the thing that causes you all that stress, all that worry, what if it isn't quite as real as it feels? What if it's all just built on a fundamental misunderstanding?
Think about it. Like the warrior Arjuna, we all find ourselves on our own inner battlefield. It's that place of deep internal conflict. We feel torn, don't we? Torn between what we think we should do and these deep-seated fears that just seem to hold us in place. This isn't unusual. This is the human condition. It's a universal struggle.
So, to find our way through this struggle, we really have to understand where it comes from. The conflict isn't really with the world outside of us, no. The real prison is the one we build inside. It is the prison of the ego. And what is this tiny ego? Well, it's the story we tell ourselves over and over again about who we are. It's this fragile little identity defined by our past, by what we own, by the roles we play. It's that feeling of being a small, separate self, totally vulnerable and alone in a huge, sometimes intimidating world. And that's the root of the turmoil. So when we live from this place, identified with that tiny ego, our inner world is just filled with doubt, with constant worries, stress, and this persistent feeling of scarcity, the feeling that we're just not enough. But there is another way, an expanded sense of self. And from there, you experience clarity, peace, stillness, and this really profound sense of wholeness.
You see, on his battlefield, Arjuna wasn't alone. He had a guide, Krishna, who offered him this timeless counsel. For each of us, that guide can show up in different ways. Maybe it's a moment of sudden insight or a deep intuition. It's that higher wisdom that speaks to us from somewhere beyond all the noise of our fear.
And the central message, the core teaching from that guide is this: the self you believe you are, that small, separate identity, that is the very source of the fear that you feel. Fear doesn't just exist on its own. It's actually born from this very limited perspective. So you see, the solution isn't to fight the ego. It's not to struggle against the fear. That just gives them more of your power. The real solution is a great shift, a total shift in perspective. It's about learning to see from high above the battlefield itself.
We can understand this path in 3 steps. First, just observe the feeling of fear as it comes up. No judgment, just watch it. Next, gently start to question, who is this I that's feeling afraid? And finally, begin to identify not with the fear, not with the story, but with the silent awareness that's just observing it all.
When this shift in identity starts to happen, something truly remarkable takes place. The battle, it just ends. Not because one side won, but because the entire conflict is finally seen for what it is, an illusion. The conditions that allowed fear to exist in the first place, they just dissolve. And this, right here, is the core realization. You don't defeat fear. You don't conquer it through force or willpower. You simply outgrow the limited perspective where it can even take root. You expand your sense of self to a place where fear, well, it has no home. This is the promise of the Arjuna perspective. It's not about learning to manage your fear or cope with anxiety. It's about reaching a different vantage point, a higher view of your own mind. And from that view, fear is no longer even part of the landscape. It simply vanishes.
This ancient wisdom, it's not a history lesson. It's a living path. It's a journey of awareness that can begin for you right now, in this moment, just by noticing the conflict inside of you. This is your invitation to step off that inner battlefield.
This whole journey doesn't begin with some grand effort. It begins with a simple choice, a choice you can make from one moment to the next. So the question isn't for me to answer, it's for you to live. From which perspective will you choose to see your world? From the limited view of the tiny ego, always filled with fear? Or from the vast, peaceful expanse of the silent observer? The choice is always yours.